Welcome back in to Talking Fitchburg. Our friends from the Department of A Trade Consumer Protection are here. Michael is back, and today we're going to be talking about serious storm action this year. Serious storm action, unfortunately, came early this year. But post that storm, I saw you guys put out great literature again on storm chasers, being prepared for bringing in contractors, all of that. Today we're going to focus on the storm damage and reports of violations of the Do Not Call Registry. Mm-hmm. And I was telling you off air that, I've seen quite a few text messages and they're like, well, Jeremy, there's a way to correct that. And we'll tell you how that is. But just from a high level here quickly, did you guys get a lot of reports just across the board? So I know we're going to be focusing in on the unwanted stuff and the Do Not Call Registry stuff, but just on the outside of that, how many are we seeing? A lot of calls coming in on just a lot of like, hey, I think I got scammed, or there was a run, or flyby company here coming through the area.
Yeah, it's a great question, and really that's kind of why we're talking about it right now. I wouldn't say that we saw like a huge increase or rise. We certainly got some, but that in itself is what we're trying to address and understand. Is we've gotten so used to these phone calls and these text messages that we really don't take the time to report them anymore. Or we think that the Do Not Call Registry doesn't work because we're inundated with these calls. And so we really want to remind everyone of the benefit of that, but then also how that law works and what it means. So we certainly get our calls. That was the number 2 most voluminous complaint that we received last year, and it has been for the last 4 years. But the numbers are starting to decline a little bit, and we think it's because people don't think there's a value to reporting, and that's not true.
So let's bring in a scenario. So you may have received text messages or unwanted phone calls saying, hey, I heard you got some hail damage. You want to get your roof fixed? I don't know if they talk like that, but you got this unwanted piece coming through, and you're like, oh, geez, what? Why? And what if you're on the Do Not Call list and you still receive that? What's going on?
So if you're still calling you and you're on the Do Not Call Registry, and you report it to us, it gives us an opportunity to, one, follow up with that business, make sure they understand what their responsibilities are with the law. Or if we find out that they've just been doing this widespread, there are penalties, and they're pretty severe penalties for businesses calling individuals on the Do Not Call Registry. And so it gives us a chance to really kind of clean that up, because it does 2 things for that. One, for those individuals that are on the Do Not Call Registry, it gives a little bit more of integrity and confidence to the fact that when their phone rings, it's probably a legitimate business, because most businesses are trying to follow the law. But then 2, it evens kind of the playing field in the industry, because it's really not fair for one home improvement company who is abiding by the law, who is only calling individuals who are not on the registry, which is a smaller pool of potential customers, versus their competitor who may be just down the street, who says, I don't care, I'm calling everyone. And so they're stealing some of that business, but they're doing so illegally. And so we want to make sure that we're creating that fair marketplace for everyone.
Is it easy to sign up for the Do Not Call Registry?
It is so easy, and you actually don't have to talk to anybody. There's a fast track way if you call our hotline at 1-800-422-7128. If you hit one of the options, you can add your number to the registry right there. You also can go online, and you can go ahead and sign up right there, or you go to our website. There's a link right to sign up as well, and it's a lifetime registry. If you're going to call in, you have to be calling from the number you want to register. Or if you just want to check and see, you can hop online, enter your phone number, it'll let you know if you're already on the registry.
I like this. I'm on the page right now. It says register your phone, file a complaint, or contact us. I mean, it couldn't be easier.
It could not be easier.
All right. As far as just unwanted calls go and stuff, if you continue to get them and you're reporting them, is there a bigger problem then? Or do you ever get a lot of people who are like, hey, Michael, you know what? We've been on this thing. We're still just getting hounded. What is going on?
So it's a great opportunity for us to kind of aggregate those phone numbers, and then we look at it, and we don't have the ability to look at every single phone number, but we have the ability to say, we've seen this phone number keep coming in. And so then we follow up on that, and we do our deep dive into, who owns that phone number, who is making those calls. And then, as it's not surprising to hear, it's not just 1 or 2 customers that they're calling. It's not uncommon to see hundreds of thousands, millions of calls being made. And so then what we do is we, again, work with that business and say, hey, we need to get you back in compliance as to what's going on here for the reasons we mentioned earlier.
And then as far as these big events, storms are going to keep happening. Different events are going to happen. I think, what is your recommendation to prepare yourself, sort of? So, like, going into this and coming out of it, I thought the messaging was pretty cool. Unfortunate that things had happened, but it sort of was like we get a severe thunderstorm watch, like, we need to be prepared. You guys kind of came out and said in between the storms, like, hey, you need to be prepared for these things. So as far as preparing yourself, whether it's by season for specific things or when these things happen, you got to anticipate that you might see something. So be ready, right?
100%. One of the steps that you can do is what we're talking about here. We've talked previously about having a list of contractors available to help out with what you want, having your sensitive documents in a location where you can grab them quick, knowing where you might want to go if something were to happen, you're displaced. That in the heat of the moment, those are the things you don't want to think about. You want to be like, get to safety, and now let's figure out the recovery. But part of the recovery, maybe it's not that severe. Maybe it just has a little bit of hail damage on one side of the house, and so I have to get it fixed. The Do Not Call Registry is a good tool for you to be able to screen out and recognize, well, those calls that are coming through when you're on the registry are either businesses that aren't compliant or they're potentially scammers. And so it lets you know, hey, I really don't want to do business with these individuals. So it's just one additional tool to help you stay safe in the recovery process.
And then reporting it. I cannot tell you enough how much reporting it is important, especially during this time. Because as you mentioned, if somebody is calling and just dialing down the way,
right?
I mean, you want to stop that. That's what you're here to do.
And we do it. Every single year, we're digging into businesses and how they're doing things and holding them accountable for, giving outside the law. But we only can start that when we know about it, right? And so this is kind of the crux of each thing that we talk about, not only when we talk about scams and the awareness, but also the enforcement side of it. We want to hear those phone numbers. We want to hear who's calling, so there is an opportunity for us to do what we do.
All right. Well, like I said, it's super easy. I'm looking at the site here. I'm about to fill it out for undisclosed reasons. But nevertheless, if you do want to learn more about what we discussed today or just have general questions, how can we get a hold of you?
So two things. One, if you want to register your number directly, that phone number is 1-888-382-1222, or you can go to nocall.wi.gov. If you have questions about what does the list really do, or maybe you got a question about whether business could have called you, you can call our Consumer Protection Hotline at 1-800-422-7128.
All right, Michael, always a pleasure. Appreciate the great tips, and it's super easy. Sign up now.
There you go.